The news of Daniel Ricciardo driving for AlphaTauri shook the F1 world. But just when everybody thought that the dust has settled, Toto Wolff has been spotted with recently axed driver Nyck De Vries. What could this meeting mean for Red Bull? You'll be getting the details in today's video, so keep watching. Nyck De Vries and Mercedes boss Toto Wolff was snapped grabbing a bite to eat at a cafe in Monaco, right after the Dutch racer got the boot from his position as a driver at AlphaTauri earlier this week. De Vries had a short stint with AlphaTauri, not quite winning over Helmut Marko at Red Bull, who was keeping an eye on his progress. With De Vries' short and underwhelming time at Red Bull's sibling squad, it's no wonder fans are speculating whether his move to AlphaTauri was a covert mission to gather intel on the reigning constructor champions for Mercedes. After all, De Vries had previously served as a reserve driver for Mercedes before making the switch. Despite being a former F2 champion, De Vries bids farewell to AlphaTauri with a disappointing record of 0 points from 10 races under his belt. Earlier in the season, Marko had already given him a warning that his position was in jeopardy, saying, "We spoke to De Vries and he agreed with us. He needs to improve. The gap to teammate Yuki Tsunoda, who is doing a great job, is too big." To use footballer jargon, Nyck has a yellow card, but not the red one yet. If he improves, a driver change will not be an issue. If the worst came to the worst, we would fall back on our pool of younger talent. It's specifically about Liam Lawson and Ayumu Iwasa. Ricciardo is not an issue. Now that we know that De Vries is out and Ricciardo is back in, the lunch Toto shared with Nyck may be seen as going behind Christian Horner's back. But then again, the two team principals aren't exactly the best of friends. Horner has openly acknowledged that he doesn't envision a scenario where he becomes friends with Toto Wolff, emphasizing that he doesn't subscribe to the notion of befriending his competitors. The head honcho at Red Bull finds himself at odds with his counterpart from Mercedes once more, this time engaging in a clash over the 2026 engine regulations. Wolff has accused Horner of being apprehensive due to his team's delayed progress in development. During an interview on Talk Sport, when questioned about the possibility of grabbing a pint with the intense Austrian, Horner chuckled at the notion and dismissed it, expressing his reluctance to forge an artificial friendship. He firmly stated that he has no interest in forcing a false camaraderie between them. "I'm not so sure Toto is the kind of person who goes to the pub. I have never been a believer in that. He's trying hard to beat us. We're trying to ensure that we stay ahead of him. While there has to be respect, I don't see some form of false friendship. For me, it is unrealistic. It's part of sport, part of competition, and it's incredibly easy to pull his chain. There has to be a competitive rivalry. It's not a garden party. We are there to win, to compete. Every member of the team knows that. The team that wants to beat us the most is the one up the road. It's important that people feel that rivalry. It drives people on to perform better. We want to win." And their rivalry is indeed felt on the paddock, more so than ever. According to Toto Wolff, Mercedes believed that they had an excellent opportunity to break Max Verstappen's streak of 5 consecutive victories at Silverstone, considering their remarkable track record at the circuit. With Lewis Hamilton securing a record-breaking 8 wins at Silverstone, 7 of them with Mercedes, and Nico Rosberg's victory in 2013, the team's familiarity with the circuit was seen as a significant advantage. Wolff openly expressed this sentiment during media interactions, highlighting their confidence and leveraging their knowledge of the track as a strength. He went on record to say, "I thought that Silverstone, based on our historic performance, this was the best shot, but it wasn't. So maybe there's another track where we have the best shot." In Monaco, Mercedes implemented a significant revamp of their car, which initially yielded positive outcomes for the team. They secured a double podium finish in Spain and displayed competitive performance, clinching 3rd place in Canada. But following the races in Austria, the Mercedes team had to admit that Ferrari had made notable strides with their latest updates, while McLaren had also made significant progress in the intense development race behind Red Bull. Toto Wolff further commented on the situation, saying, "The characteristics of the car have changed, but I always believe that we can beat Max. We're a good group of people, best drivers. We just have to give them a car that is more predictable and not Diva 2.0 and more complicated." During the British Grand Prix, the Mercedes team found themselves taken aback by McLaren's significant lead, which surpassed their expectations. Both Russell and Hamilton faced challenges keeping up with the MCL60's impressive straight-line speed. The Mercedes cars still seemed to grapple with high drag, impacting their top speeds. Toto Wolff acknowledged that the team has been diligently striving to attain incremental improvements on the car, but he also recognized the need to shift focus towards a broader perspective and explore more substantial enhancements. He said, "We've been fighting with the car for a year and a half, trying to add performance. It came in, but it's just chipping away those small gains. I really see the positive because fundamentally, I don't care whether we finish second or third. It's important to find our way back to fighting for victories and the World Championship. While podiums are really happy for us, to see the car has potential, fundamentally all sights are on the big prize. And that's why it's exciting to see that McLaren was able to find a second of performance." Throughout the year, the side pod design of the Mercedes F1 car has been a prominent topic of discussion. With McLaren's unexpected surge in performance, the spotlight once again falls on this aspect. McLaren made a remarkable leap during qualifying for the F1 British Grand Prix, surpassing all but Red Bull in terms of speed. Their upgraded MCL60 impressed Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff, who likened it to a Red Bull. The strong showing by McLaren, coupled with the side pod design discourse, has generated considerable attention and intrigue within the Formula One community. The current side pod concept adopted by McLaren differs from the one initially favoured by Mercedes at the start of the year. And now, Toto Wolff has faced inquiries regarding whether Mercedes will consider embracing a similar design that has proven successful for their rivals. The questioning revolves around whether Mercedes will be open to adopting a different approach in order to enhance their performance, given the positive results achieved by McLaren with their alternative side pod concept. Wolff said this about the matter. "We had the side pod concept and the bodywork in the tunnel very early on already to see which avenues it would open up, and how much it would add to performance, and the relative loss of downforce, the way we measure it, was substantial. So it's not something we wanted to follow up earlier in the year. Will we change our design direction? I think we have a great group of aerodynamicists, led by James Allison, and I'm sure it will be a consideration seeing the step they, McLaren, did. The side pods and the bodywork are just one part of the chassis, and clearly it looks like there are interesting solutions that open up. But most of the performance comes from the floor and the diffuser, and we haven't seen how they've interpreted the regulations and how they've done it. So in my opinion, it's just the package. We see that the strong cars all look a little bit the same when you look from the side and from top down. Certainly that has played in our minds already back in the day, but maybe that's just a little more indication where it goes." When asked how much of a factor wind tunnel and CFD time is to the improvement of the W14, Wolff answered, "I didn't want to refer at all to the reasons for the performance to the wind tunnel time. I just think it's just good engineering. Good decisions work well together on the right track. We need to see whether they can repeat that performance in Budapest, which is obviously the opposite in what you need. But this sport is about marginal gains. If you have 20% more wind tunnel time and allocation, and you gain 2 seconds over the year, that means 4/10 or 5/10 in additional performance, which is always going to help. But still, we need to have the right innovation and design it the right way. Put it on the car and it needs to correlate with the car and the wind tunnel. So, chapeau." Toto Wolff being seen with Nyck De Vries could mean a couple of things, none of which are good news for Christian Horner and Red Bull. What do you think they talked about over lunch in Monaco? Share your theories in the comment section down below, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.